Welcome back to Big Think, the show where I think big. Today, we're playing Overpass because that is this week's challenge. I'm going to be getting my weekly case because I'm very close to the next sergeant rank up thing to be able to get the case. I don't really need to be playing Overpass to do the challenge because I just winning a game will get me enough XP to get the case, but you know, I thought I may as well do the challenge. Not played Overpass comp in quite a while. It's not a map I'm too good at, but it's a map that I very much enjoy playing whenever I do play it, so I thought I might as well give it a try tonight. I'm actually going into today with a theme in mind, like beforehand. I'm going to be reviewing a movie. Now, I do have a movie channel, Human Reviews Media, which I don't really use, and I do admittedly regret not using it, because I love movies. I love movies. I don't know if I'd say just as much as music, but I hold such a special place for movies in my heart. They are an experience that I feel so deeply connected to, that anytime I watch a movie, I don't know, something about it just, I feel like I'm in my element. Sometimes more so than music, you know? Yeah, I absolutely love movies. I love talking about movies, but I don't see enough films to warrant the use of my movie channel all that much. So I'm thinking I may transfer the movie-based stuff, or a lot of the movie-based stuff, to these little mini reviews. Or, well, mini reviews. It's going to be a lengthy, in-depth review of The Long Walk, which is, of course, based on a Stephen King book of the same name, which I have not read. I have not read The Long Walk. I went into this film absolutely 100% entirely blind, as I tend to with, fucking hell, he was desperate. As I tend to with most, films based on books. I like to... firstly, I'm not a big reader. I tend to... I don't know, there's something about books that I've just never been able to connect to all that much. There's something about books that, I don't know, I've always kind of, like, admired books from a distance. It's sort of a thing of, like, I struggle to pay attention to books. Like, I don't know, I have the thing where it's like, I read a page of a book, get to the next page, and immediately forgot what happened on the last page, you know? And I also struggle with, like, internally picturing things in my mind. Even when a scene is described in great detail, I always, like, really struggle to, like, picture things in my head. So I would rather all of the picturing, like, already be done, and then it allows me to just fully immerse myself in the story. That's why I prefer movies as a medium to books. I'm not a big book reader at all. So, yeah, I had never read The Long Walk. In fact, the trailer for the film was the first time I had ever heard of the story. I was not familiar with it. You know, I'm not the most familiar with all of Stephen King's work. It was very much... my first exposure to The Long Walk was when the first trailer dropped. So, I see that trailer, and I'm like, this looks interesting, but how much mileage are we gonna get out of the concept of a long walk? It's just gonna be a film about characters walking. You know, I don't anticipate there being too much actually interesting in this film. But then my mind started racing of, like, hang on, the guy who directed multiple of the Hunger Games films is directing this, and, you know, this is kind of a similar, like, Battle Royale-esque premise, where it's the last one standing in a group of young adults and teenagers doing an insurmountable task. And, you know, he was able to inject a lot of life into those films with a similar but also very different premise at the same time. I think that, I don't know, those Hunger Games films are memorable, and I think they do a lot with their concept. Thank you to my teammate for throwing a fuck ton of util and giving away my location. what was I saying? God, my teammate's shit. Fuck my teammate for doing that. I'm usually with these able to like separate myself from the game, but my teammate throwing that util just for the sake of being like, fuck you, we're here. What a prick. Anyway, I think that yeah, he did a decent job with the Hunger Games. I'm blanking on his name right now, the director. So yeah, his presence among this property was like, okay, hang on, maybe there's something here. Maybe there is something here. And then my mind started racing of, oh, is this going to be a film about, like, betrayal? Is this going to be a film where it's, like, seeing how different characters start playing, like, 3D chess with each other? Start, like, fucking each other over? Start, like, you know, doing all this crazy shit to try and win, like, the challenge for themselves? But that's not really what the film does. We're going to be talking spoilers here. I probably should have, prefaced that from the beginning. We are going to be talking spoilers. You better believe I'm going to be talking about spoilers. You're fucking insane if you think I'm not. Because this is a movie that kind of requires me to get into the weeds, to get specific, to kind of lock in exactly what it is that happens, exactly what moments make me feel specific things, exactly why it is that I think this is such a tremendous experience of a movie. That, you know, again, this so much shit happens in this film. I kind of need to get into details. So, spoiler warning, if you've not seen it, click off. We're going to be getting into spoilers. So, yeah, the film is not what I was expecting going in. It's shockingly straightforward. It's not a film about betrayal. It's not a film about, like, who can you trust, who can you not trust. None of that. There's minor elements of that. There are points in the film where relationships get strained, but they're never for like any extended period of time. We don't have any like dramatic character shifts besides one character who goes through a pretty notable arc, and where he ends up at the end of the film is pretty fascinating in comparison to where he starts off, and I'm sure, you know, you guys can guess who I'm talking about. But yeah, we don't really get any major character shifts. Whoever people are at the beginning of the film tends to be very similar to how they end up. I can't think of any character that like drastically changes, who really goes through any real momentous or very notable personality shift. A lot of these characters just are who they are, and the film kind of revels in that. The film very much lets you know who these people are right from the get-go, and doesn't force you to pay attention to any minor changes. It doesn't force you to pay attention to, like, you know, any moments that cause a shift, because who these characters are and who they make friends with in the beginning tends to stay about the same. So, I think the big thing I want to talk about with this film is how well it handles the relationships. This film is able to make the personal relationships between these characters feel so real. All of the friendships, the way they form, the irony that comes with making friends in a scenario like this is handled with such great care. For example, we have our main group, the Four Musketeers, is what they call themselves. And they deal a lot with, like, you know, there's multiple conversations that are like, should we even be making friends? Should we actually be, like, communicating with each other and helping each other, when in the end, only one of us, if not none of this group, are going to be alive? And they sort of toy with that idea. They toy with, at a few points, a little bit of strain among the group due to, you know, that realization of, well, we're all going to be dead, what's the point? Oh well, only one of us has the chance of being alive at the end, so what's the point? And it tackles that in a way that's fascinating to me, because every single character kind of gets their moment to lash out and feel like a liability. We get, fuck, I'm blanking on some of the characters' names. Shit, I get so invested in who the characters are and just, like, my mental image of them that I'm blanking on their names. I may have to get the list of character names up on my phone here. But yeah, we have a moment where... Let's take our main character, Ray, for example. I was going to come up with a different example, but I'm blanking on the character's name, which is my bad. But yeah, let's take our main character, Ray. He has a moment in which he's feeling very tired. You know, I think it was at the point where we were a couple days into the walk, and he just kind of lashes out and, you know, basically tells everybody to fuck off, tells everyone that, like, he doesn't want to start associating with people, saying it's a bad idea. He starts, like, freaking the fuck out. But then that gets resolved so quickly that it feels like, oh, that was just kind of a blink moment, you know? That was some shit that just kind of happened and gets resolved super fast, because that's just kind of who these characters are. All of our main characters are flawed, nice people, you know? They care deeply about each other, their friendship, and all of the words they say to each other bear a surprising amount of weight. I noticed at a certain point just how much the writing was doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Like, these characters are written in a way that every interaction, every line really matters in the way of strengthening the relationships and the core dynamic. Like, every conversation is just written to perfection, dude. Like, every single interaction just felt like, oh, I've just learned a massive thing about this character. I've just learned a massive thing about their personality, without really changing who they are as a person. I'm gonna get the cast up here so that I can see the names of the characters. Okay, so my team are attacking each other. It's good shit. It's what we like to see. Good shit, teammate. Hang on a sec. My phone is being slow as fuck today. My phone fucking hates me. Looked like I headshot that guy. Can my phone just work, please? Like, I Google something and then it's like, huh? What? Oh, I'm gonna close your search engine, actually. GG's. The Long Walk. Okay, we'll try Opera. We'll try Opera GX Mobile instead. Fuck my phone, dude. Shit's so slow. That's his name. Hank. Hank is the guy's name. So, we have a moment... a couple moments where, towards the beginning of the film, Hank is kind of the loud-mouthed, potty-mouthed, egotistical... Not an asshole. He does genuinely care about the people around him, but he's very irritable, you know? He is the one who's, like, shouting, swearing, telling people to fuck off, being like... You know, he's the kind of guy who, when an insult's thrown his way, he gets a little bit salty and he jabs back with, like, a really low blow. He's that kind of character. You know, unabashedly himself, he's a very much comedic relief for a lot of this film. A lot of the funniest moments come from him, a lot of the funniest lines. But the entire, like, back half of him in the film, the entire final portion of his scenes, it's essentially spent with him being dead tired, with him not knowing, or knowing that he's not going to be able to stay awake for much longer, and kind of, like, just fighting to be awake and getting pissed at everyone. He gets so irritable, he gets so pissed, and a lot of the time is spent with our characters trying to cheer him up until eventually he just kind of gives up, you know? And a lot of characters, like, a lot of characters kind of, when they have a moment like that, it kind of advertises that they're about to give up. It's like, okay, these are your final moments with this character. And every single death of, like, the characters that we actually get to know, there's 50 people on the walk, and we only get to know, I want to say, like, 15, 20 of them? Every death of, like, an important character has weight. It has meaning. You know, they all get, like, a death that is either, like, flashy or that is particularly disturbing. I think, again, Hank is a great example of that, where he goes out trying to, when he dies, he tries to, like, run into one of the tanks, grab one of the guns off the guard, but they shoot him in the stomach. And then they leave him there to bleed out as an example for no one else to do that. Which is then later paid off by, what is the other character's name? Is it Parker? I think it's Parker. He successfully grabs a gun and kills one of the soldiers, but then he is also shot and, you know, left to bleed out. So we kind of get characters' deaths that inspire the way other characters die. And there's a little bit of a progression to that death as well, because we have easily the goriest kill of the film is when I forget the character's name, but he gets super tired. He like goes to lean against one of the tanks for support because his legs are fucked, and then the tank runs over his legs, and then they start giving him warnings. They leave him there to suffer. They're like, first warning, you know, 10-second wait. Second warning, 10-second wait. Third warning, 10-second wait. And the characters are like, why aren't they finishing it? He's obviously not going to get out. Why aren't they just finishing him? And then eventually after that, they finally shoot him in the head. And that's kind of the progression of that death, is we get someone leans on a tank for support, gets run over, then we get someone trying to grab a gun from one of the tanks, gets shot, then we have someone successfully grabbing the gun, killing a guard, and then dying. Kind of that, a little bit of a progression, a mini arc in terms of how our characters die in the film. And I just find stuff like that, little details like that about this film, super interesting. Now, that is one thing I want to talk about in terms of the deaths, is the violence in this film. This film is pretty nasty. The film is unabashedly so abrasive with its violence. It is sudden, it's loud, it is angry, the violence is explosive. Like, it even gets disturbing. The way characters respond to violence in this film is genuinely quite disturbing. Particularly the first kill. It's like this kid who is clearly pretending to be 18. Like, all of the characters are like, there's no way this kid's anywhere over 16. There's no fucking way. You're lying. You lied to get into this thing. And he's the first person to go. Everyone tries to support him. Everyone's like, we can't just let this kid die. And then he sits there as he's about to die. They fucking put the timer on him. He's freaking the fuck out. Like, it's Roman Griffin Davis, is that his name? Yeah, Roman Griffin Davis, who plays Jojo in Jojo Rabbit as well, plays him. And he gives a truly disturbing performance in that moment. You're just watching this kid, like, begging for his life, shouting, it's not fair, fucking crying, breaking down. And then when he gets shot, we see his fucking mouth explode. And he sits there, and he doesn't die immediately. You can see him kind of react to it and look around a bit, and then his body just slowly collapses. The violence is just very mean. The film is incredibly harsh in that regard. Again, the goriest death of the film absolutely is when the guy gets ran over by the tank. It shows it in great detail. I watched it with my girlfriend, and she turned to me in that moment, and she was like, I don't like this film. That's disgusting. It's horrible. It's nasty. You know, she did not respond well to it at all. And also, they show... The film isn't the goriest. It has its gory moments, but for the most part, it'll be characters being shot in the background. It'll be like a clean headshot with a little blood spatter. You see like a bit of blood on the ground, but it doesn't show much like graphic detail. But there are other ways that the film gets graphic. We see a character get the shits, as it's described so eloquently by one of our musketeers. And we watch this guy pulling his trousers down to shit everywhere, and that gets him killed. Like, he keeps stopping to take, like, a shit constantly, and it's showing it. It's pretty disgusting. I assume it was done with VFX. I don't understand how they would have done that practically. VFX. Fucking... For practical VFX exists. I'm assuming it was a digital effect. Because showing a character having explosive diarrhea while walking would be a pretty difficult thing to do practically, even with tubes and shit. It looked a little too real for it to be some like liquid out of a thin tube, you know? It was gross. My girlfriend looked at me and she was like gagging. She fucking hated it. Yeah, it was gross. And there's moments where similar things will happen, but they're played off for comedic effect at one point. And they're played serious and gross at another point. Like, go into the toilet, we have a moment where, is it Peter? I think it's Peter. Turns around, and, you know, he needs a piss, so he's like, look out behind me. And he, you know, he takes a fat piss. Everyone's like, oh, gross, oh, gross. And then, you know, someone taking a shit is treated like, oh, that is horrific, that is disgusting, that's vile. You know? So again, it's kind of like similar moments being played off with like different bits of context to just to change the tone of them, similarly to how I described with the different tank deaths. And yeah, again, going back to the film not being the most violent, it's not the goriest, but it's disturbing in the responses. The performances here are top-notch. Everyone is able to portray a feeling of just being so disturbed by what's happening. Everyone's able to portray being deeply affected, deeply saddened. The responses, the moments of death. There's the one guy writing the book. I forget his fucking name. What was that character's name? Was it Larson? Was it Larson who was writing the book? I think it might have been Larson, looking at the cast list here. He's the guy writing the book, and his ankle... There's a good 10-minute stretch of the film where we are shown his ankle being, like, completely fucked. And it gets to the point where he's, like, falling behind, he's getting warnings, and this guy is just breaking down in tears. He's like... The line that really got me was, guys, help, my ankle's all twisted up. Like, just the way it's described... In such, like, a childish way, my ankle's all twisted up, and it's literally his fucking foot sideways. I think there was, like, a bone sticking out. Blood just seeping out of his foot. And then he has a moment where he, like, stops, falls to his knees, and he's like, no, wait, I'll just go home. Stop, I'll just go home. And then his fucking head gets popped. Lots of moments like that that are just genuinely... hurtful, disturbing, cruel, harsh. Fuck. I locked in there and I couldn't pull through. Son of a bitch. Anyway, lots of moments like that that are just cruel, harsh, nasty. And again, it's all in the performances here. The performances across the board are just top-notch. I think that one thing I really want to highlight is our supporting cast, and particularly the two big name actors that are in this film. You know, we have lots of acting newcomers. We have David Johnson, who obviously was in the most recent Alien film. Did a great job there, does a great job here. Cooper Hoffman, who I'm not familiar from anything else. Roman Griffin Davis, Jojo Rabbit. Our two big established actors are Judy Greer as Ray's mum and Mark Hamill as the Major. You also have Josh Hamilton as Ray's dad, but I'm not familiar with Josh Hamilton from anything else. So I don't know if he's like an already established actor. But yeah, Judy Greer and Mark Hamill give standout performances in this film. They're not given much screen time, which was surprising. Particularly Mark Hamill as the Major was given very little screen time. He's on screen for probably in total about like 5 minutes in this film. Doesn't get too many lines. But every single scene he is in, he is just the commanding presence. He's such a powerful kind of driving force, kind of the spearhead of the movie. Whenever he shows up, it's a moment of immense progress. He progresses the film at such a snappy pace whenever he appears. And the fact that he's used so sparingly, especially when it's Mark Hamill giving like such a powerhouse of a performance, I just love that choice. And then of course you have Judy Greer giving such a gut-wrenching, truly crushing performance as Ray's mum. Just like every scene she's in, she is just depressed. She is so sad. She's only in 2 scenes, I think. Well, besides a flashback, well, even in the flashback, she's like super depressed because of what happens in that flashback. She gets 3 scenes in this film. She's in the flashback, she's at the very beginning, and she's in the moment where Ray passes through his hometown and his mum is there waiting on the path for everyone. And in all 3 scenes, you know, the first scene is her freaking out at the fact that she might never see her son again because he's going on the walk. The second scene is obviously the flashback, and it's her watching Ray's dad get killed, her husband get killed, because he's showing him like illegal art or whatever is considered in this dystopia. They're not allowed to look at rebellious art, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then she's also in the scene where he passes. It's a tiny scene. It's probably about 30 seconds. He passes her, he says, "Oh, hi, Mum," like kind of in a distraught state. He's like, "Oh, it's you, hi." And then he kind of clocks it, he sprints back to his mum, and he gives her a hug. And obviously he's getting warnings for like going off trail, he's getting warnings for like not moving. And she's freaking the fuck out. She's like, "Stop, what are you doing? Get back on the trail." Judy Greer giving an immensely like hurtful performance, like actual devastating shit. And yeah, all of the moments she's in just carry so much emotional weight. She brings such like a massive emotional core to this movie. It feels like her character, despite being barely in the film, is the emotional core, you know? So anyway, the other big standout, again, Mark Hamill. He did a fantastic job as the Major. But I've already talked a bit about him. Let me get on to kind of the background of this movie and the great little bits and pieces of world building they do. Again, I'm not someone who read the book. I don't know if they go into more detail in the book. I don't know if we get to see anything about the war, or if we get to see like anything about how the laws about rebellious art came into place. But they are in a dystopian society that is very censored, that is very anti-art, that is very controlling, very condemning of any form of freedom or forming your own opinion. It is America comes first, We will have no art that says otherwise, no anti-capitalism art. Like, I think it was... They mentioned Nietzsche, specifically. They weren't allowed to read Nietzsche. And then he was talking about certain music. I forget which artist gets brought up specifically. But there was an artist, a music artist, that, like, he brought up his dad getting him to listen to that was very illegal. And then the punishment for any level of exposure to the arts is death. Like, Ray's dad gets murdered for showing him these books and, you know, all of this music. That there is a great... The flashback scene is so impactful because it's the biggest piece of, like, oh, this is the world we're in. It gets hinted at. Sorry about that. Ran out of disk space, so I had to start a new recording. I think we lost that round, unsurprisingly. Anyway, he's talking about his dad being, like, the last good guy on the planet. You know, the last... Like, you know, a guy who was showing him all of this forbidden art. And his dad gets killed. And it's a great way of giving... Like, just full-on showing us the dystopia we are in. And it's a very grounded one. The film is coming out at a very particular time where lots of very relevant things to that are happening. You know, Jimmy Kimmel getting pulled off air for stating, like, stuff about him disliking Trump. Lots of very heavy censorship of particular ideologies and, you know, just stuff of that nature. And the film is about a dystopia where a big war happens and then they're like, okay, these kids cannot learn rebellion, these kids cannot learn anything like that, we are going to censor everything of the sort. And it's shown to us through a guy getting murdered for showing his son music and a book, which is crazy. But that kind of biting relevancy that's prevalent throughout the entire film. Obviously, the film's based on a book, so a lot of this, I can't really attribute it to the film itself, because it's all based on a book, and obviously I think most of the world building carries over from the book specifically. But the fact that it's this world being portrayed at this period in time just feels so... It's like, oh man, that's yeah, that's very real. That's very biting right now, particularly in a time of a very popular political assassination, Charlie Kirk, in a time where school shootings are very prevalent in the United States. To have a film that shows the horrors of violence like this, that shows the horrors of how low a government can stoop, that shows such a disturbingly realistic dystopia. It feels like a film that's kind of needed right now, you know? The film is so relevant, the film has so many things to say, and it says them no holds barred, it says them loudly, the metaphors aren't all that subtle, and I like that. I like that this film is so itself. It says its message boldly, it doesn't force you to dig, it's just, hey, we're in a world pretty similar to this. We are in a world where censorship is looking like it's headed this way, where violence is headed this way, violence is this real, violence among, you know, it's young adults in this film, but violence amongst actual children, not even teenagers, children, happens. You know? It's just, it was such a powerful thing to watch, looking at it in terms of its message, and also a powerful thing to watch in terms of its emotion. The film is, it's such a very, very, very strong gut punch, It's a bleak, bleak movie. It's dark, very dark. It's unforgiving. It doesn't really, like... It's weird. Characters' deaths are kind of advertised. Again, the guy with the fucked up ankle who was writing the book. We see specific characters getting very tired. Like Hank. He's, like, practically falling asleep for a solid 20-30 minute chunk of the film. Like, characters' deaths are like, hey, this character's death is coming sooner or later. It's gonna happen very soon. It still just feels so sudden and shocking every time, because it's like build-up that isn't really able to reach a bubbling point before it explodes, you know? It's like build up, build up, build up, and it happened. Don't really get any time to sit with it. You don't really get any time to think. It's just, okay, we're gonna let you know it's gonna happen soon, and it happened. It's so sudden, it's so explosive, it's so abrasive, and it's so violent a lot of the time too. Again, not like the goriest death or anything, but Hank, a character we've known to come and love, dies such a painful, slow death. He gets shot in the stomach, and he is left to bleed out as his death. It's just so... Again, it's so mean, it's so harsh, and it doesn't hold back once. And I kind of have to commend it for that. The fact that the film isn't afraid to be as realistic and as mean as it is, because it feels so necessary a factor to portray the horrors of this violent world, of this world that holds up this type of violence and oppression as just like a normal thing, you know? Just having it be that sudden, having it be that mean, having it be that truly saddening, you know? There was, of course, I'm talking a lot about Hank. We also have our other musketeer. Is it Pearson? I'm looking at the character list. I think it's Pearson is our other musketeer. That name I remember being one of the musketeers. I might be wrong. But our other musketeer, he outlives Hank a little bit. But it gets to a point where he's just like, guys, I'm giving up. I've had enough of this. My bones hurt. I'm gonna die sooner or later. I'd rather do it on my own terms. And our characters are at such a broken point. Our characters are so just devastated at this point. They're so mentally numb that it's, instead of being like, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, they're like, look, walk a little bit longer. Let us have a little bit more time. You've done the best you could. We're proud of you, and we respect your choice. At the beginning of the film, they go from, with the kid that dies at the start, they're trying their best. They're like, we've got to save this kid, we've got to save this kid, we've got to save this kid. To, hey, it was going to happen at some point. We're glad you're going out on your own terms. We respect you. You know, thanks for... I think they say, like, thanks for walking with us or something like that. And, oh, this had me tearing up. He fucking pulls out a necklace and he's like, my grandma gave this to me. Whichever one of you guys win, just get it back to my grandma. That's all I can really ask. And it's just like, that hit, man. He's like, just get this to my grandma. That's all I care about, is that this piece of me gets to live on. I don't care if I do or not. And we see our main character, Ray, take the necklace before Pearson just... He steps back, away from everyone else. He says... I think he says, like, don't look when it happens. Promise me you won't watch, I think he says. These guys are walling, by the way. I've not brought that up yet. I've kind of, like, known it the entire time we've been playing. But I've been so locked in on the conversation that I've not wanted to say anything. The enemies are very, very blatantly wall hacking. They're not even trying to hide it. It's pretty funny. Anyway, yeah, he's like, don't look when it happens. I don't want you guys to watch me die. Then he steps back, and it's an out-of-focus shot where he gets killed. You just hear him shouting, do it, just do it, I give up, kill me, I give up. It happens. And they just move on. There's no real, like, deliberating. There's no sitting there. It doesn't really feel like the characters process it. They're just like, well, he was gonna die at some point. He was one of the good people walking with us. We're gonna miss him. Move on. And that death happens at such a late point in the film that I feel like not the lack of care in their response, but their surprisingly, like, semi-unfazed response to it is such a good way at indicating just how desensitizing all of this violence has become. It's at the point where our characters are just accepting of the fact that it's either they're gonna die or they're gonna watch their friends die. And you just get a moment where he steps back, he accepts his fate, he rips himself free of them, and they don't really do much to stop him. They try and hold on, but once he's broken free, he just runs back and they let him. They let him. It's such a crushing scene. Another character I'd like to talk about, which was it? It was Stebbins. Stebbins is a fascinating character. Stebbins is the character who goes through the character arc, in my opinion. There could be arguments made for Barkovich, Gary Barkovich, where he goes from the guy who gets another player killed, and then he kind of at the end is like, okay, I want to have friends when I die, and he makes a big sacrifice to show them that he's like one of them or whatever. But I feel like that was just entirely for selfish reasons. He's a very selfish character throughout the entire film. I wouldn't say he goes through much of a character arc necessarily, but Stebbins does. It goes from the beginning of the film where he's this massive dick. He's constantly got something to pipe up about. He is disrespectful. He is moody. He makes jokes about specific characters' deaths and shit like that. He is like trying to egg people on to make bad choices. And then by the end of the film, he's one of the final three, and we kind of learn why he's doing it. It's my girlfriend turned to me at the beginning of the film and said, "He's the Major's son, isn't he?" And I turned to her and I went, "I don't know," because he goes, "Good luck, son," to him. And when she said that to me, I was like, I don't know. I think that was just like a random line they threw in there. To show that the Major is like, you know, trying to big up these teenagers here. But yeah, it's revealed that he's the Major's son, and his wish was going to be let into the Major's home, to be able to, I don't even think he said live a life with the Major, to just be able to have dinner with his dad and experience the thing he never got to growing up. That was his wish. And then when he realizes that the Major is this absolute fucking madman, this monster, he's like, I don't even want my wish. I'm gonna give up. And he says, he has kind of this moment where he like apologizes. I think he apologized. My mind's a little fuzzy on the details of his death, because the film was so taxing. I was kind of emotionally drained by the end of it, that the details are a bit fuzzy. He kind of has this heart-to-heart moment with the other two where he discusses his backstory, and then he has his kind of final moment where he just goes, fuck it, I'm done. They have this big, like, fuck the Major moment. They're all shouting it. They're all like, yeah, fuck this guy, he's the worst. And the Major's like, yeah, that's the spirit, lads. Shows you've got, what does he say? It shows you've got sack. That's what he says a bunch of times throughout this film. You boys have some serious sack to be doing this, which is just vile. Serious sack. It's just so gross. Silver 2, by the way, that's pretty shit. Yeah, they all have this moment, and then he gives up. And the Major clearly, like, overhears their conversation. The Major's like, yeah, I am your dad. So what? He's kind of, like, looking at him, being like, you know, I'm hearing your conversation. He gives him a little nod and everything, and it's like, oh, damn. The Major doesn't even have any remorse. He's about to watch his son die, and he doesn't give a fuck. Let me put it on this camera while I buy the key for this case. I'm going to open this case. It's a kilowatt case. It's a good case. I do in, like, a kilowatt case. Look at how fucking messy my hair is, dude. Jesus Christ. I've been ill today. I don't know if you could tell. But I certainly fucking have. Today I've been fucking rough. I'm feeling better now. It's gotten, like, gradually better throughout the day, but oh, you should have seen me earlier. I was fucked. I was fucked. Let's open this case. We're hoping for Chrome Cannon. We're hoping for Inheritance. We're hoping for Kukri Knife. I'd even maybe take this Zeus skin. That's a good Zeus skin. But let's see what we get. Gold, gold, gold. Gamble, gamble, gamble. Oh, a Tech 9 skin. My favorite. It's Slag. Wow. Just like your mother. It's Battle Scarred. Wow, what a fucking spit in the face. Can I do, like, an upgrade? How the fuck do I do the upgrades again? Oh, trade up. Do I have enough shit for a trade up? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I could get rid of the Jewel Berettas I just claimed. Because I don't give a fuck about any of these skins. What do I get? Vara Camo Galil. Wow. Absolute dog shit. I'm trying to think what else there is to talk about with this film. I don't know. I think that might honestly be it. To put it simply, I think The Long Walk is an absolutely fucking tremendous experience of a film. Such a great feat in such simplistic storytelling. The whole film is just the walk. It starts with Ray arriving. Like, legit, that's the opening of the film, is a letter on the screen, Ray arrives, the walk happens, the walk ends, the film's over. We get 2 scenes that the flashback takes place in. We get one that's a little, like, flash of, like, the very beginning of the flashback where his mother's singing to him. Then we return to it to reveal what happens next, and it's his father being taken and shot out in the street. Besides that, the entire film is just the walk. There's no prologue. We don't get anything at the start. We get a little 5-minute sequence where we learn the characters' names, and then the Major comes in, the walk begins, and then obviously we have our, the kid, let me see his name, Thomas Curley. Curley was his name. We see Curley get shot. That's showing us the stakes. Then the rest of the film is just the walk. Little, like 2 minutes dedicated to the flashback, max. And then you get the very shocking... I didn't talk about the ending, that's it. I didn't talk about the ending. The ending is, like, shocking. Apparently it's different from the book, and I'm not familiar with how the book ends, actually, because I've obviously never read it. But at the end, Ray sacrifices himself for Peter, which was interesting. Because Peter, he even describes it. He says he's got nothing to lose but everything to gain. Whereas Ray has everything to lose, but everything to gain. Which is... It's fascinating that they made the choice for him to be the character that makes the sacrifice play. He is the character that had the strongest motive. He is the character that was the strongest fighter of the bunch. Peter was a character who felt very directionless, intentionally so. He is someone who was able to have a lot of camaraderie with these characters, but also was so used to the horrors of life that he didn't really have any big responses when a lot of shit happened. Because he was just so used to it. He had been ripped from everything he loved. He didn't have any real friends. He didn't have any place to go. And the film ends after he gives Ray this big spiel about, look, you can take the gun at the end and you can kill the Major, but that just makes you as bad as them. You're fighting violence with violence. And then after the big sacrifice, instead of using something for his own gain, he realizes that maybe he can put a stop to this, and he has a complete flip where he is like, okay, I've just lost my best friend. This was not the way this was supposed to go. I was meant to make the sacrifice play, which he attempts to but fails. And then he takes the gun and kills the Major. The Major stood there with all his confidence. He's like, come on, son. You don't need to do this. You know, you're not going to gain anything from this. And then he's just like, shut the fuck up. And he guns him down. A surprisingly, like, not very violent kill. It obviously is the guy gets shot. It's about as violent as it gets. But there's no, like, graphic detail. They don't give him a big, glorious death. It's just he's shot, and that's it. And I think that lack of any time to sit with it, he just shoots the Major, walks off, and the film ends. No more dialogue, no moment of reflection. He just shoots him, looks around, realizes that no one's going to do anything about it, and he leaves. Powerful, powerful ending to what is a very powerful movie. This film is incredibly remarkable. It is one of the strongest films I've seen in quite some time. I think that the film hit me on a very personal level. I didn't even talk about the cinematography, dude. Oh my god. This film is shot beautifully, such vibrant colors. There was one scene, it was after the very first night of the walk, and then we get to the morning, and it's like 6 a.m., it's rainy, it's a little foggy, it's just washed in this thin blue haze. The shot is beautiful. I was looking at it with my jaw on the floor, like, I could have cried at how beautiful that shot was, dude. Multiple moments like that throughout this film. Yeah, I would give this film a strong 9. It's a 9 for me, dude. It is just such a punchy, brutal experience, but one that is absolutely unforgettable in just how human, in just how heartfelt it is through its violence, well, not through its violence, how heartfelt it is despite its violence, despite its cruelness. It spoke to me on a very deep personal level, and it's a film that I'm so glad I gave a chance, because, I don't know, it's normally the type of film that I'm like, yeah, it looks interesting, but, you know, I'll probably skip it. It doesn't seem like my type of thing necessarily. I'm not going to connect to it in the same way other people do. I connected to this film in the same way other people did. It's a 9 for me. Incredible shit. So fucking good. Anyway, that is going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Somewhere around here, there is going to be a playlist with the other 2 episodes that I filmed, the tester episode, as well as episode 1. Also, I'll probably put the live stream that I did in that playlist as well. Yeah, check those out if you haven't. Let me know what other topics you'd like to see me discuss down below. I would be fascinated to see. And yeah, I think that is going to be about it for me. Like and sub if you haven't, want to get this channel to 1K, just like my main channel, which you should also check out if you want to see me review music. And I'll see you all for another video, be it a gaming video, a stream, or another episode of Big Think. See you later.